welcome to the show. We are going to be talking about all sorts of cool things. Backstage, we were talking about laundering money.
And your time in the mob.
He's not wrong.
Okay, so you came from, obviously, an East Coast background. You grew up in New York.
Yes.
And your family was... Where are New Yorkers here?
Connecticut, New York. Hey!
Okay, how many of you guys are also in the mafia? Was your family in the mafia? To a degree.
I feel like if the FBI gets tape, I shouldn't say anything. We have some connections. I actually said to Pace, I was like, we were talking, and he's like, you're not from here. I'm like, no. And in saying that, I just said my family's very Italian. They're like the Sopranos. And I'm like, legitimately, and they're embarrassing, but I love them. And he's like, I love the Sopranos. And that led into me sharing about money laundering.
So
Actually,
about that,
real
what
estate.
happened?
Do you want me to tell the story?
I mean,
Yes.
you guys don't want to hear the story of what...
I'm sure you have a lot of guests on, and it's never opened like this. But
No, we had the CEO of Blockbuster on last month, and he was talking about dick jokes the whole time. Like,
True.
literally, we could not get him to stop. It was great.
I hope I come back more. This is way more fun. So how it happened was my father had passed away a couple years ago. I'm going to back up 1 second. I said to both of them, I grew up in a household. I didn't know they were in the mafia. But my Uncle Billy would go sell cheese in New Jersey, so he'd have to leave to go down to New Jersey, and he sold cheese. But the cheese actually was in grocery stores, so it was a legit company. I don't know where the money went, but I'm telling you that. And who he worked for might have had a piece of it. But so I said Uncle Billy would go, and Uncle Billy came to all these events in a white suit, and so my uncles sat always, every Sunday, we'd get Sunday dinner and we'd watch football, and my uncles always had to sit by the phone because we didn't have cell phones, and the phone would ring during games, and I didn't understand why they always had to sit by the phone. Like, why are you always by the phone? But they were bookies. So they had to, and that's how you did it, because we didn't have cell phones. So again, this is very normal to me. I don't even understand, like, the layers of this. And so fast forward, my father, I'm not laughing because my father passed away, but my father passed away 2 years ago. I was coming home, I did the eulogy, which, doing the eulogy for your father that's one of probably the most honoring things you could do in the world. And I come home, and we're all at my sister's having our celebration of life for him. And this Uncle Louie guy is standing there, and he says, kid, come here. And I'm like, no, in an Italian family, you know how you have uncles that you don't know, or aunts, or some are family, and some aren't, but they are. So I'm assuming this is my uncle that I don't know. So I go over to Uncle Louie, and he says, kid, you're smart. I was like, oh, thanks. He's like, that was a really good eulogy. I've been to a lot of them. That was a good one. And he's like, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And he's like, your dad was a good man. And he said, okay, listen, moves off of that. And he goes, you make good money? And I said, I mean, I think I make good money, but I think that's relative. And he's like, no, do you have real estate? And I was like, well, no, not really, Uncle Louie. Not the way I think you're going here. And he's like, kid, the only way you're going to be wealthy is you need real estate. I was like, I don't disagree with you, but I need a lot more money for that real estate. He's like, well, listen, since you're smart and I need help with certain things and you coach people who make a lot of money, here's what we're going to do. I make a lot of money, a lot. And he goes, and I work for the son of the person that your uncle used to work for, mafia. And I'm like picking this up. It's all code. I said, yep. And he goes, so we make a lot of money on certain things. And I have this small amount of money I need to do something with. It's only $4 million. It's in a safety deposit box. But this is the thing. I told Pace, I'm like, he's saying this like it's normal, okay? And by the way, everyone in the house is acting like this conversation's normal.
They're just chopping.
I mean, they're sitting, no one's, I'm like, what are we doing? He says, so I'm going to give you $1 million. You're going to put it cash down on this piece of real estate, and then you need to help me wash the $3 million. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
How did he expect you to put the $1 million down? Just show up with a duffel bag with the money to the title company and be like, here's my down payment.
I don't know. I don't know. We didn't even get that far. He clearly didn't think that was a problem, though, because that's probably what he does. So I just said, I know how Ozarks goes, and I'm not doing this. So, no, sir, we're not doing this. And I go, here's free advice. Open up a laundromat, a dry cleaner, or a pizza parlor, and make it cash. There you go. Am I out of this now? And he says, I'm going to call you in a week. I'm like, no, sir, please don't call me. I don't want the FBI to come after me. So, there's where we are. That's my family.
Yes. Okay, so you come from a really cool background, which is a lot of fun. How does one jump from that into occupational therapy?
Oh, okay. Well, because my dad was a tool and die maker. My mom was a barber. And a lot of people in the trades, obviously, in our home. And so I was like, you all are doing okay, but you're not doing as well, I feel like, as we should. And I always had this voice. I was like, I just knew I wanted to go do something more and honestly help my family out. I wanted to do better because I wanted to help my family. And they work so hard. So I was like, I'm going to college. And again, my father's like, great, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm 16, I don't know. I go, I know I want to help people. Well, at the time, my grandfather had a stroke. This story actually has a common thread, which is not one I wish I could write about, but he had a stroke, and when the occupational therapist walked in, she was helping on his cognition and his brain and his neuro, and I was like, what is this that you're doing? She started to tell me everything comes from your mindset. Everything happens from your brain.
Even back then when you're 16, like it feels like mindset became massive in like the last 8 years or so.
And I love you for saying that because my whole world has been about mindset, and just now it's picking up, and I was like, son of a b. I've been saying this for like ever. And so it was taught to me then. But that's the premise of occupational therapy is neuro mindset.
The fact that that person educated you on that back then.
I know.
Like they were ahead of the time.
Well, they planted the seed.
Well, that's what I mean. This sugar gets crazier because she says this to me when my grandfather has a stroke, and I'm like, well, and it locked in for me. I was like, everything's this, because I love human behavior. Because honestly, this propels us forward or pulls us back, and we could be our own problem or we could be our best solution. So she helped my grandfather, and then I just knew. I was like, I'm going to be a occupational therapist, went into neuro, got out of college, went to Syracuse. I go to college. I go to work at this world-renowned hospital. They paid peanuts, but they were really good at what they did. And I married my college sweetheart. And by the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, we're Italian, I was ready to start fast and early. I could not wait to have a family. And I think I'm living the American dream because I'm growing in the hospital, have a family, have a dog, and I'm going to start a family. And I'm so excited. I'm living the American dream, and I hurt my back. I get sciatic pain. I was working with a patient, and I go to get my sciatic taken care of at a chiropractor. I go to the appointment. They manipulate my neck. I leave the appointment. My sciatic is gone, but I didn't know they ripped the artery to my brain.
Oh, my God.
So I don't know at that moment I'm bleeding in the brain. And I'm working on a stroke and brain injury unit. And I go to work, and when I go to work, the next day, I think it was like a couple days later because it took a while.
Tiny little tear, but
it was a tear, and then all of a sudden the blood just kept going. And because they found it too late, it just occluded blood supply to the left side of my brain, and the floor flipped upside down. The floor was the ceiling, and the ceiling was the floor. And they misdiagnosed it and told me I had a brain tumor when I actually was bleeding in my brain, so they couldn't fix it. So I've lived with this blood clot and have had 3 strokes now. And the last stroke was about 6 years ago. I was the mental skills coach for the Phoenix Suns. I told them they give me a friggin' stroke with that season. But I want to say something to you. I know it's a lot when you hear someone say that, and because I've gone through so much hard, and we all have, that's why I wrote the damn book about bouncing back. But I want to say something. When you go through enough hard, and you've gone through enough things that you have to go through the depths of where you have to learn grit and resilience, and I was already helping patients go through that, and then I left healthcare to start my own practice on mindset because I was running companies after I left the healthcare. After working in healthcare, I went to go run companies because I wanted to fix the way things were. Visionary. I was 28 years old and I was president of a healthcare company. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but when you're told you could die any day, which is what happened from 25 till now, you lose this fear. You're like, what am I going to be afraid what other people think? I could freaking die. Like, let's go. What's the worst that can happen? This doesn't work out? Because I'd rather a business not work out than my life not work out, so let's go try. Because you rather live saying, I wished I had. You rather live saying, I'm so glad I did than I wished I had. And that's what's happened. And so, yeah. All day. Yep. And I know it's hard to take risk, and you don't have to wait for someone to tell you that there's a problem. Like right now, we don't know when something's going to happen to us. So don't wait to take the chance on life so your life could change. Like make the choice today.
I love that. You're 100% right. And I think that if we could understand the mechanism of why it gets so hard to maybe take that risk, because you understand it, right? And I've been in my own world over the last 20 years diving into much of the same things that you study and have come to similar conclusions. I feel it. The conclusions could be maybe called different things, but they're in theory the same. What I understand is it's chemistry for the most part. And we will create chemistry that we feel comfortable with. And even if that chemistry and that comfort is something that's very bad for us, meaning it's going to keep us down, it's going to give us, keep us in the survival life. It is basically just going to hold us from taking any major risks. Well, what is the mechanism that is happening to us when we find risk, we negotiate with it in ourselves, and we make the decision not to take it? What's happening there chemically, and how can we identify it so that we can know what's happening and then make a different choice?
Okay, first of all, you know in your gut right away. You know whether you should go ahead with something or not, and there's a great book called Blink, and I love it. And Blink is about like in an instant in your gut whether you should hire someone, whether you should do something, and there's moments that are going to come by that you should seize the opportunity. And you know in your life when you've seized an opportunity, you've said yes to someone, you chose to come here, and your life changed, you seized it and you did it. And there's times where you wished you had seized it and you didn't, and you missed out on the opportunity and you beat yourself up. So my point is, chemistry is actually telling you that you should be taking action, or it's warning you this is a hard no, which is okay too, because sometimes the no's lead to the yes. And the people, the surroundings, the environment, it's all giving you almost like a satellite pinging you in the right direction. You just have to stay open and keep your mindset aware to know where these pingings are taking you. And it sometimes doesn't look like it's making sense, but it is. And I will say that courage is one of the greatest things you could develop. Be courageous in this world. And failure is not ever failure. As I'm sure you've heard many people say, it's really learning. But the greats of the greats, I mean, you've taken so much risk in your life. And both of you, and it's worked out. And there's a lot of things that didn't. But along the way, every risk that I took, I learned something and it brought me closer. I left the healthcare world to then start a healthcare company running at 28. What did I know at 28 running a healthcare company? Started a record label, didn't even know country music. Sat with George Jones and he's like, little lady, you don't even know country. I said, no, I grew up on Pavarotti and Frank Sinatra and the Beastie Boys. Like, no, I don't. But took the chance to literally start a recording studio and a record label in Nashville. We're running a healthcare company. Guess what happened, though? In all of these things and running companies, the same common thread is your giftedness is the common thread. The arena changes, but your giftedness stays the same, and you sharpen your gift. So my gift of mindset, leadership, communication, helping people, human performance, no matter whether it's in the hospital, whether it's at a record label, whether it's a healthcare company, or now I coach founders and pro athletes on mindset, the same thread keeps coming, which is your gift. Do you understand? Like, your gift is the thread that's been able, the arena changes, but your gift is the same that you're bringing to the arena.
This is really interesting. So Coach Dar, a couple days ago, somebody in our community sending me these long voice memos, which I actually like. I like long voice memos. It voids all the meetings.
I hate them.
I think that's a message to me.
I'm staring at him while I'm
He's
saying
like,
it.
gosh, Pace is sending a text right now. I don't
10
do
minutes
them
long.
I know he doesn't like them, so I don't send them to him. But so she sends me this text, and she's talking about this partnership she's in. And the partnership's not working out. They're going to have to disband, and they're going to have to break things up. And she's all down on herself. And I said, okay, but think about all of the tools that you picked up along the way. Those are going to be needed for the next boss that you encounter, right? Thinking like video game terms. And I've never heard anybody say it the way you just said it, which was the arena might change, but the gift you have is the common thread. So you have to hone that gift so that the next arena you're in. So this is what's interesting. Her mindset was, I failed in this arena, and now I'm moving on to the next arena. Oh my gosh, I'm just going to fail in that arena too. And I'm sitting here going, wait, hold on. I couldn't have articulated it as well as you just did. So thank you for the gift you just gave me right there. I'm going to steal that from you. I'm going to go, well, Coach Dar says. I love the way you say that. Yeah. That is very true. So is there a way that you're helping some of your clients find that gift?
Yes. So I have everyone, and we kind of alluded to it because Rocket Fuel, the book, says a little different. I have everyone do an assessment that I work with, but you could pick whatever assessment that helps you literally learn your gifts and talents. So the one I do is the path elements, but it's flow state. I like to teach people where they flow, because the best in sports are when they're in their flow state. So I want everyone to be a pro in what they do. And the way you're going to be a pro is to get in where you flow naturally. Do not put yourself in a giftedness or a talent that is not natural to you. We talked about this. I do not have the gift of administration. I would love to try. But on my assessment that I do, it gives you like 0 to 100 on where your giftedness. In administration, I'm 8. And it goes to 100, okay? I'm so not equipped. So I could fight all day to try to have this gift in an arena that it's not the arena, it's that I'm swimming in the wrong pond here. You're judging a fish on how you climb a tree, and then you're getting a performance review on it? That makes no sense. But do you realize this happens in business all the time? Because we're like, we just need help. Could you just show up and do this? And listen, I would say, oh my gosh, I know you need help and you want me to help you, say an admin, but I am going to completely slow down this project. You're going to want to kill me, by the way. So I'm not going to do it, but let me find someone who can. But I could help you with this. Use your voice to speak your talent. So do an assessment. Find out where your flow state is, your gifts and talents. Here's another thing. Go send a text today to 3 to 5 people. Hey, if you had to describe me in a paragraph, who am I, and what are the things that you think I'm gifted in?
Dang, that's good.
Yeah, and mom should be one of those possibly that you send a text to, right? Because
the people who know you well.
Yeah, they know you. Your parents will know you really well, and there are those things that you may forget that were really interesting and lit you up as a child.
Yes.
That you may be still repressing or not allowing to kind of come out.
Or the world squashed your confidence.
Exactly, and we lose that opportunity to get to know that beautiful aspect of you.
This is what I call the confidence card. So it's in here. I do it with every person I work with. We build a confidence card. When you send that out to 3 to 5 people, they're going to come back. You're going to see a parallel of words that are coming. Write that in your phone, on a note card, anywhere, and make it so that when the world starts to make you doubt who you really are, you go back to that confidence card. You go back to who the people who really know you. And you remember your worth, because it'll make you forget out there. But you have so much worth in, and I don't want you looking for other people for approval.
That's really good. By the way, in about 30 minutes, we're going to open up to Q&A. We've got 5 of her books here today. We're going to hand out 5 books to the first 5 questions that get a hand raised. So if you have a personal problem, today is the day to ask that question.
If you have $4 million you want to launder.
Okay, so Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
Okay, so you look at these. It's really interesting. We watch sports as entrepreneurs, and we recognize that there's different positions on the court. It's very obvious. Shaquille O'Neal cannot do the same thing Kobe Bryant can do. No. In fact, they're yin and yang, right? Same thing with the Phoenix Suns, right? And I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are not visionaries look at the loudmouth visionary, the loudmouth visionary, and the loudmouth visionary, and they go, I guess that's what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be that person. And so they chase the visionary role for the longest time just to realize, wait, that's not me. In fact, I have a partner, I won't say his name, but I have a business partner in one of my companies that was really demoralized when he realized I'm not a visionary. And then he read Rocket Fuel, and he realized, wait, if I am the integrator and the operator, I can take that little silly visionary and I can 10x his ideas, and I
Yes.
can actually put them to work. I'm actually more important than him. I just don't get the limelight.
Yeah.
Do you find that there's a challenge when you're coaching the Phoenix Suns that the point guard gets the love and the attention, and he gets all the Nike endorsements and all of these things, and other people, they kind of wrestle with the identity of, I want to be the cool guy?
Yes.
Or at that level, do you feel like they've already recognized their gifts?
I actually think this goes even beyond. So, I was just at the Cardinals game last night, so I'll coach in all
What a
the
game,
leagues.
by the way.
Oh my God. There's a lot of things I want to say about that, but we're on film. So, but it happens because, everyone wants to be either the running back, the quarterback, the tight end, the person scenes, but the lines, they don't get, all those guys on the line don't get any attention, and they're protecting the line. They do so much that helps that actual play happen, and the same in basketball and the same in hockey, everywhere. And so people will start to question their worth because they're waiting for the world, by the way, to give them that approval and their worth. So what I say to all the guys when marketing deals come through for one guy and not another, cameras are going and media is going to one person and another, they may even know their role, but they're going, gosh, do I matter? And so what you have to do is work on confidence internally and saying, like, we literally can't function as a team unless you show up being your best. That's how much you matter. Whether the camera's on you, or you, it's not going to, by the way, go on the person who's getting the most if we don't play as a team. Like, that guy's not going to get any media if we don't play as a team. So you're just as important, and often it comes down to a worth thing. And also understanding, which happened to your partner, like, oh my gosh, I actually do have that much more, I don't want to say power, but ownership here, because by making sure I do the operational integration role, it's going to help you and us to collectively go a lot further. And when people start to realize that their value is truly in their own lane, their giftedness, everyone starts to rise. And I'll just give an example is, we often are, you're driving, you are your car, and you're driving the car and it's got a windshield, big windshield in front of it, and you may have heard this. Hi. You may have heard this, but the rear view mirror is small, and it's small for a reason. It's small for reflection. You want to reflect back on things in the past. You want to take inventory. The side windows are smaller, and the front window is bigger, because that's where you're supposed to look on your mission with your gifts and your talents. But the world makes you go, oh, I need approval. Oh, what are they doing? Oh, it's comparison, approval, perfectionism. And every time you go like this, it's taking you off of driving forward. Or every time you're looking in the rearview mirror on what it used to be like or how it was, you're stuck in the past. You can't drive your car where you're supposed to go unless you're looking forward out the front window. So part of having worth with the guys or anyone I work with is stay in your lane, drive where you're called to go, and glance for reflection on what's going on, but then drive forward and sharpen your saw, and that's how you'll be great.
Wow.
Love that. Okay. Do you find, let's say, highest level of sports all the way down to a brand new entrepreneur, are the mindset challenges the exact same?
Anyone, entrepreneur on that wants to be great at what they do is going to find challenges. The mindset is going to be they're going to lose confidence, clarity, and then they oftentimes lose fun on the way. And this goes for everyone. I mean, I know people say, like, oh, they're making $325 million, Dar, and they're not having fun. No, because they get stuck in the grind of it and don't see the big picture of what's being built. Confidence, when you're on the journey starting up and you're doing this, I'm an entrepreneur. It's hard. It's some days and some years are so damn hard, and some are so fruitful that I'm like, whenever it's really good, I'm like, I'm soaking this in right now because I'm going to be pulling from this moment today, because when it's hard, I have to remember this, which leads me to why. We hear this all the time, but you have to know why you're doing it. You have to be connected to your mission, because when it gets hard, why are you getting back up to try again? And by the way, you need to have your own why and mission statement, because every company can't open its doors without a mission statement, because the mission statement's the sword and the harness. You cut away what doesn't align with it, and you harness what does, but yet we get up every morning without our own mission, our own why, and then we're tied to everyone else's mission. So now our life becomes like whatever the world wants from us instead of what we're aligned to. And your mental foundation gets stronger when you're strong in your worth, your confidence, you know who you are and what your why is. You stand firm like a lighthouse in the storm, not like a preserver trying to go out there figuring it out. So be like the lighthouse and know that the entrepreneurial journey is a hard one, but every journey is hard. Choose your hard. Just choose your hard. If this is your dream and this is what you want, and you line in and you lock in with your gifts and talents, slowly you'll get the wins, you'll build the confidence, be in rooms like this with great leaders to help you with clarity on how to do it, learn from their mistakes, and also learn from their wins, and then have freaking fun on this. Like, don't forget to have fun. There's no sense going through this life miserable. The world will already try to make it like that. Don't let it, because the hardened hearts become rigid and rigid breaks, and that's not a mindset you want.
Okay, so The Art of Bouncing Back. Why did we name it that? Why did we name the book The Art of Bouncing Back?
This book was never supposed to be in existence. The book that I was writing when the third stroke came was The Art of Greatness. And I was writing about the patterns of greatness of everyone that I work with. They all have patterns. I want to say one pattern to greatness is obsession to detail, like obsession to the craft. There's an obsessiveness. By the way, there is no such thing as balance, so throw that word out. It doesn't exist. The greats are not about having balance. It's micro moments. It's integrating things. But I was writing about patterns of greatness. And then I had the stroke, and the third one was my worst one. I mean, I lost my ability to see, use my hands. I would stagger. And I was, it was like a pinnacle point of the career. And then that happens, and man, I was angry at that time. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, what the hell is going on? And I would literally wake up, and I remember even going to the hospital, and they were like, we don't cover your insurance. And I'm like, I am having a stroke. What do you want me to do at this moment right now? But I was connected to my why, and I got back, and I remember just sitting there going, I'm just going to give up on this. Literally, I was like, this is hard at this point. And my sister calls me, and she's like, I said, I think I'm going to play it small. Like, it's been so big for so long, and I'm going to play it small. She goes, oh, you are? I said, yeah. I said, I think I'm going to just move to the beach and, like, live in this, like, shack and it doesn't need to be this big all the time. She goes, oh, yeah, go try that. She's like, you'll be there 3 weeks. You're going to be sitting there 3 weeks. You're going to get bored after 3 weeks. She goes, and then you're going to see someone, like, working on a boat or something, and you're going to be like, hey, what are you doing? You're going to find out their life story. You're going to help them. You're going to teach them something in business. You're going to be working on their mindset, and then you're going to start a business with them or something. She's like, you literally, it's not even in you, so get the hell up. And I'm like, get the hell up. You're all the way over there in freaking East Coast, and I can't even feed myself right now. She's like, God did not call you in isolation. Like, get back up. So I started getting back up, and then my agent called me, and she said, Dar, you need to write. I said, Kelly, I know I need to write, but I can't even hold the pen, and I can't see the paper. She goes, well, start voice texting it. And I said, no one's going to take a chance on me right now. That's what I said. No one's going to take a chance on me right now. I literally am having health problems getting words out, and I speak for a living. She goes, and again, this is my story, so put this in perspective. She said, stop putting God in the corner. And I said to her, what? She goes, you just put God in the corner for your future. You can't call yourself out of this game. And by the way, don't you tell me this isn't about you, because one of my things is life is not about you. It's about the mission you've been called to do. And she's like, you've been called to call people to greatness, so you can't count yourself out because this is God's mission, not yours. Now you got to get up. And she's sending me my own words, which that's always the worst. I literally wanted to tell her to beep herself, and whoever told her that is ridiculous. But of course I sat there after I was mad for a minute. I was like, she's right. And, so I prayed on it. And sure as sugar, this person called me and said, hey, I heard your name on this, like at the NBA All-Star whatever game, and I just need to know how the hell you help all these people like bounce back in sports and in life. And then I just heard what you're going through. And she's like, I want to help you with a book. And I was like, you do? She goes, I never give anyone a first-time author a chance. I never do. But something was laid on my heart to call you, and because multiple people. But that was bigger than me. You know what I mean? When certain things are bigger than you that have been orchestrated. So, of course, I seized the moment and said yes, not knowing how the hell I was going to write the book. But there was patterns, and she said there's clearly patterns to greatness, but there's patterns in how you help them bounce back. So how did you do it, and how do you help them? And that's what became this.
Freaking amazing.
Well, we've heard the word pattern a couple of times, and I'm a big believer in patterns. The fact that we're all basically living one out, and what I've seen of myself is I've repeat patterns until I become aware of the pattern, and then I can make an adjustment if I choose to. In that capacity that you've been able to see all these different patterns, what would you say is one of the key patterns of people being able to get the resilience that they need to bounce back? What does that pattern look like, and how can we identify it in our lives?
I'm going to tell you the pattern that I see most that hurts us, that then I'll turn it to help you. So the pattern is that we don't reframe things enough, and we take the emotion that we're feeling, and we think the emotion is a period when it's just a comma. Do not make the decisions in life on where your emotion is. So when you're frustrated, you're angry, and you assume, I'm not good enough for this. I'm not even supposed to be an entrepreneur. What am I doing in this room? You start making the emotion determine your future, and you put a period where they're intended to be a comma. It's a pause, the hardship. It's not your whole story. So we don't know how to reframe. And so what you need to do to bounce back is learn how to reframe. A bad year does not mean a bad life. A bad year in real estate, even a bad few years in real estate, doesn't mean that you're bad in the business of investing in it. It's the market. It's various things. Maybe there's something you have to sharpen, but don't make a bad day or a bad year become a bad life in your mind. It's shift the perspective. I had a player come off the ice, and he came off the ice and he's like, he goes, Dar, I suck. NHLer. And he goes on and he's just like, he's going off how bad he is. And I said to him, you get 2 more minutes of this. And he looks at me, he's like, did you not see the game? I go, yeah, I did. That sucked. I was like, the game for sure sucked, but you don't. You're literally turning in, and now this is becoming a pattern. You get off the ice off of a bad game, you start coming down like this, you're beating yourself up, you've shifted your mindset. There's no coming back. Who wants to work for someone with that mindset? Your body doesn't want to work for you when your mind is telling you that. I go, you start shifting your mind, your body's going to show up different, your state shows up different, you start playing different. I said, who's going to play for you with that mindset? Not even you, your teammates, or your body is. I said, it's a bad game. You're not a bad player. You're 1%er. You forgot your worth. Get back up and let's do this again tomorrow.
How do I get her in my pocket? Like, how?
Like I'm just thinking, I want Coach Dar all the time. Can you just say nice things to me before I go to sleep every night?
Do you want to know what's funny? Do any of you remember Duck Dynasty?
Oh, hell yeah.
He's right here. Where is he?
Yeah, that's right. So you know how they had the grandpa was a bobblehead and it talked? They actually made the grandfather as a bobblehead and it talked, and someone came up and said, could we make you a bobblehead that talks, that when we hit your head it says something to us in the morning? I was like, sure, let's invent it if you want. I think this is annoying, but yeah.
Number one question I get every day is, how do I get everything done? I have 9 companies, 600 employees. We have customers all over the globe. We're doing fix and flips. We're doing buy and holds, apartments, RV parks, all of those things. Everybody wonders, how did I scale? How did I get to a higher level? And the answer is that, GoHighLevel. I use a CRM that allows all of my customers to come into one database. And instead of me hiring more employees to go and do all the follow-up, GoHighLevel has systems and automations that does all of that for me. So not only can I have my employees focus on higher end tasks, money-making tasks, GoHighLevel avoids all of the extra payroll. When you're brand new, having GoHighLevel is like having 5 different employees doing all the work for you just for a monthly fee. Go to GoHighLevel.com/pace to learn how I'm using it, not only in my lending business, but my wholesale business, my fix and flip business. Literally, GoHighLevel controls the entire back end of all 9 of my companies. Go to GoHighLevel.com/pace to learn more.
Seriously, though. Like, you imagine her just sitting in the backseat of your car, like anywhere you're going?
Well, the thing is self-talk is so real, right? And I have seen so many people, yourself, the people in the community, the ones that we see rise to the heights. And it's evident, how you feel inside is how your life is outside. As within, so without. That is 1,000,000% a law. And when we see that, then it's very clear to us, if life is going bad outside, what do I have to do? Do I have to do more stuff outside? Do I keep it's like saying to myself, looking at my reflection in the mirror and saying, oh, I need to fix my hair, and then going to the mirror and trying to fix my hair.
Yeah, that's so good.
Right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, I can't fix my hair on the mirror. It's a reflection of me, right? That's insane. That's insane to do. But if it's really a reflection of what's happening inside is what's going on outside, then we always have the solution.
That's right.
The solution is always start here.
We're
right?
the problem and the solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the medicine.
We are. You're your own medicine. And, you have a community that's going to help you, but at the end of the day, we have to take extreme ownership. Jocko, you do. You have to take that extreme ownership to choose. So the way the book also starts out is embrace the suck is the first chapter. And it's because I had no other way. I don't even like the word, but I was like, when sugar hits the fan and it's going, the last thing you want is positive Pollyanna, like, it's going to be fine tomorrow. I want to punch someone in the face. They're like, lady, if someone did that, well, I couldn't feed myself, I'd be like, go back out, come back in and try this one-handed, okay? But in saying that, once you get into it, you just lost a deal, finances, pressure, obviously I'm losing my family, things get hard. And in that moment, you feel it, okay? Listen to me. You don't push feelings under the rug. You have to feel it and acknowledge it and label it. Talk to someone. But then you have to move through it. This is where some things happen. Stillness is beautiful to understand and get ideas, but then there's got to be movement. If you don't move and take action, that's where you get stuck and you start to be quicksand for yourself, literally quicksand. So once you get it, you embrace the suck and you go, this is reality. Like, literally, I had to sit there and go, this is the reality of what I'm dealing with. Either I'm going to choose to get up or I'm going to choose to stay here. Guess what? You know what it's like to stay there long enough and be the victim long enough and sit in your own feelings long enough. It just gets worse. And by the way, not getting up and not making another call, not trying to do something, you never get another opportunity. So sitting down and doing nothing is never going to get you the results. So once you embrace the suck of where you are, you can make a plan to go forward.
Do you feel like people have a major issue with worthiness? Like I look at the 5 fears, right? We had one of my good friends came in and he gave us an acronym. FEARS stands for fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of abandonment, rejection, and then success. And I was like, dang, I think I have the fear of success. I think you get to a point you're like, am I really supposed to be here? Imposter syndrome, right?
Oh, yeah.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I go, I think it's got to be something to do with, am I worthy of that thing? Do you find a lot of the people that you coach have that as a major problem?
Every single person. I'm not kidding.
Everyone, and they're all professional
no.
athletes.
Founders of
10
10 billion,
massive
20
companies.
billion. Everyone at some point is going to feel like they're not worthy because a room you walk, because patterns of things might be happening in your days that are throwing you off, and now you're not working on your mental game, okay? And so then the days start to roll over, and it starts to make you believe and doubt other things because you're not doing internal work. So this is when I say, like, you have to build a foundation every day of working on looking at your confidence card, being around the people that believe in you. The moment you start to feel off and you're like, I actually didn't feel comfortable walking in that room. I started to doubt myself. Call the people around you and say, is there something I need to know? Like, do I need to sharpen an edge here? Is it me that I have to work on something? Or am I just talking myself out of this situation? Because oftentimes it's the lies we say to ourselves. And it's also the fear of all of those things that you said. Because even worthiness, I actually think if we look at it deeper, if no one saw our failures, we wouldn't even have worthiness issues. Because we're still trying to see if, what am I doing? Does my family acknowledge this? Are they going to be okay with it? Do the people is everyone approving what I'm doing to some degree? Do I matter in this world? And we really just want to know, do we matter? Are we seen? And do we matter? And if we can make everyone around us feel seen and like they matter to some degree, then this sense of worthiness won't be as high in all of us. That we all go through this. And, just an example, there's a CEO that I work with that runs a multi-billion-dollar company. This person is a damn rock star on TV. Unbelievable. And this person was going to meet with 4 former presidents. But to talk about what this person knows, and right when we're going to walk in the room, the person goes, I can't walk in that room. I don't belong there. And I said, you run this company that they want to know about. They might have run the country. You run the company that they want to know about. You own the gifts that you have. This is what you're good at. And you talk about what comes from your heart and what you know. You never have to feel that imposter syndrome again, and you could feel worthy because you're staying in your lane. And when you stay in the lane of the things you know, it's so authentic. People ask me all the time, I've been to the White House, I've been in locker rooms, I've been in boardrooms, do you get nervous? And I said, if I stay in my lane, like even today, I just want to talk to you from my heart, from what I know. I could stand here all day with you. But if I go out of my lane and try to talk about what you both know really well, I am going to feel like a pigeon. Because I don't know, I clearly need help in real estate. I don't know.
Call Uncle Louie. He'll help you out.
But I mean, it's really when you sometimes start to go out of your lane that's where the imposter syndrome come in. Because when you really stand in your authenticity of who you are, show up and be you.
So what's the difference between staying in your lane and stretching yourself to take on new adventure or to learn new skills? Because there's people in here that are learning and that maybe you feel like you're not in your lane, but you want to be in that lane. So how do we do that?
Gifts and talents. Again, go back to what are your gifts and what are you really good at? Do that text, send it to people. Keep building the layers of the cake of you, meaning this is who you are, this is what you're good at, this is what you want, and you know you could be known for. It again, administration. If I try to teach on physics, or don't even ask me to talk about financials all day. It's just forget it. I think I'm dyslexic in numbers. But I mean, again, if I tried to go, even when I've been CEO of companies, I'm not going to go be the CFO. I'm going to have imposter syndrome if I try to literally work through this. I'm going to find people to help me. So the way that you combat this is your lane is the things that you're gifted in, and for sure I want to be stretched in it. And I've been stretched by putting myself in places and spaces that, of course, are uncomfortable when you haven't been there, but then you go there enough and you're like, I know this now. It's only uncomfortable the first few times. Then your brain goes, oh, we know this. Kind of like the cold plunge. I make everyone do the cold plunge. The reason you should do the cold plunge is because no one wants to get in freaking 34-degree water. But the moment you train your brain, if you do it consistently days, by the way, your brain goes from fight or flight to I got to get out, this is too hard to, this is cold, but I'm not going to die, and then you could stand in it. And it is more of a mental exercise doing that, but that's the same. That's how you stretch yourself to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So difference of your lane is where your gifts are, and stretching yourself could happen in that.
This is a great answer because let's say I speak on stage, probably not as often as you, but I've turned down a lot of stuff recently. And it's because people ask me to speak about things that I'm not exceptional at.
Yes.
And I tell them, I go, respectfully, I know you want me to talk about these things because you think that that's my lane, but I actually am really good at these things. If I can serve your audience with that, great. If not, I'm not going to step out of my lane, because that's when imposter syndrome sets in for me.
Yes.
I'm like, wait, if I have to do a report on the P&L for our 9 companies, I'm going to want to myself before I go on that appointment. But if it's doing an appointment on how do I call a seller and how do I negotiate a deal and how do I care about that seller and where they're going, I'm world class at that. Because it aligns with my gift and my talent that I, again, like your flow state.
Yes.
I love that.
Because you just saw it, like right there, real time. This is exactly what you should go through in your head of, wait, this actually is in alignment. This isn't in alignment, so I'm going to do something out of my alignment, which takes me into my flow, puts me in imposter syndrome, and then, again, you would leave going, I don't even feel good about myself, And so why put yourself in that situation when you know damn well what you're good at now, so stay in that. And you're going to learn what you're good at the more you keep staying in the things that you start to see are patterns of your giftedness.
So I'll give you a good story real quick. And we'll open up to Q&A. You guys want to do some Q&A? Okay. Somebody have something? Okay. So I'm on stage 3 years ago. And the person coming up behind me is Grant Cardone, a good friend of ours, really good friend of ours. And the people that were running the event, they said, Pace, we want you to talk about this thing and how it relates to crypto. Like, do you guys know me as a crypto guy? And you say that almost like you're laughing. Okay? So I go, oh yeah, I should do hard things. I should do hard things. I should go do that thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like rehearsing, I'm going through the stuff, I'm learning, I'm studying, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. It was the worst I've ever felt on stage, and this is how bad it was. This is how bad it was. Grant is backstage. He's one of my good friends. He grabs the microphone. What's up, Hung Mai? Good to see you, brother. Congrats on getting married and finally getting laid. I love it. Proud of you. We've been waiting, brother. We've been waiting. So Grant.
So is he.
So Grant grabs the microphone backstage, and he tells the audio team, for those of you guys that have not been backstage, they've got a line of microphones. Grant grabs one of the microphones and says, turn this shit on right now. And Grant says, get this guy off the stage. No. Yes. It did not hurt my feelings. Yeah. For longer than a year. But the point is, I was so out of what I am so good at. Yeah. And what Jamil's question is like, what is stretching, expanding your lane, right? Versus let me jump into a completely different freeway system. Yeah. That's what I was doing, and that is where my imposter syndrome set in. So let's say I'm brand new, right? Again, to this great question. A lot of newer people in here. This room is half gangsters, half soon-to-be gangsters. Oh, okay?
Nice. Gangsters and prospects.
Yes.
Gangsters and prospects. Because you know that world. Yeah.
I think there's some people in this room, maybe even people on my team, that tried to do something because they saw me, or they saw Sam Singh, or they saw Jonah Korchin, or Hung Mai, or some of these amazing people. April Giuliano, one of my very, very good friends, has these powerful personalities, visionaries, go and create amazing things and momentum. People will try and emulate and copy them and just go, I'm failing, I'm failing, I'm failing. And they've never taken a flow test. They've never gone and figured out what their gift is. Right. So even when you're focusing on your gift, whether it's being an operator, an operator, an integrator, you will feel so much more comfortable learning new things in that realm than you will go, I'm going to go cold call and door knock this seller that's in foreclosure. Has anybody in here ever tried something that you're like, yeah, that immediately, it's like touching a hot stove, and you're like,
yeah, sports.
Rachel, sports. Rachel, what have you tried recently?
I'm a face-to-face galley, and I tried to make a phone call, and I'm like, dang, that is not me. But once you put me in front of someone, I'm like, we're best friends. But
You're better with face-to-face.
I love that. There's power in knowing your flow state. So what is the test that you suggest everybody take?
So there's a path elemental profile. You could do that. You could do strength finders. You could do DISC. You can do
What's the one you like the most?
the path elemental profile.
Is there a website or a thing?
I think it's pathelements.com. And if you can't find it, then just find me on social, DM me, and I'll send you the link. Okay? Because it's really important for you to know it. And I just want to say a funny story is, if you ever feel like someone's calling you into a space you don't feel comfortable, you still have power and control. So a story I want to give on this is the owner of a NBA team called me one day and said, hey, Dar, what's this leadership that you do? I said, what? And I mean, I've known this person, but this was still, I'm like, and I started to explain what I do. And he's like, yeah, cuts me off. And he says, listen, I just paid this guy $70 million. He needs to be a leader. He just needs to be a leader. And you need to help him, and I need a 6-point plan. I said to him, no. He goes, what? I said, no. Now, in that moment, not many people tell him no. Right. 2 things. If I said right there, this is the plan without meeting the person, I'm going to put myself at risk, and then I'm going to be imposter, and then I'm not going to get the results for that person, and it's really going to go bad. So I took control of the situation while still knowing that I had to be on, and I said, listen, if anyone gives you a 6-point plan on someone they haven't met, they're taking your money. I need to know the person. So he's like, well, how do I know you could do what you say you could do? I go, well, who called who? I I said, I didn't call you, you called me, so you must have heard something. So he goes, I got to think about this. Hangs up the phone. 1 week later, he says, hey, are you going to come to this game in an hour? I said, now I'm in sweats with my hair on top of my head working from home. And I'm like, no. And he goes, I need you here in an hour and bring your 6-point plan. It's like, this son of a bitch. But I know the personality. And I just said, now here's what I'm going to say. I'm about to tell you how I stayed in my flow, but I also seized a moment. There are also opportunities that if I just stay in my lane and speak to my truth with my gifts, I'll be okay. And also, if I say no, these type of personalities move on and you'll lose your chance. So I said, yes, I'll be down there an hour. When I walked in, he says, hey, this is going to be so-and-so's new coach. Literally don't know anything. He said, so tell them what you're going to do. And I said, in that moment, I said, hold up. Now, he's cleared the room. I'm with the general manager, the owner, the vice president. And then he says, I said to them, why don't you tell me what's going on with the player so I could tell you if I'm equipped to help them. I still own the power in that sense, and I'm staying in my giftedness. You could do this in business if someone comes to you, tell me what the problem is, let me know so that I could tell you whether I could fix this or you could still be a resource and find someone else and you'll still win. It'll still be a win-win and you'll have your control and you'll have your confidence and you stay in your lane. And I ended up coaching that player, which then I coached the team, and that's how the story went on for that. But it was about staying in that zone where I was like, I need to own the gifts that I have and also seize an opportunity at the same time.
Freaking love it. All right. Who feels like they need Coach Dar in their life right now? Anybody have a question for Coach Dar? Stand up. Say your name. Do we have? Oh, Sam, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sam, you're always on it, bro. Mario. Oh, okay. We'll go here first. I love it. We got 3 already. This is amazing. All right, we got our 5. This is great.
Hey, Coach Dar, thanks.
Hi.
This is my first experience with you, and I'm just blown away, so thank you. As a newer solopreneur, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and a lot of it's the imposter syndrome and all of that. Sorry.
It's okay.
But I don't know how to deal with being everything and also being in my gift. I think I know what it is. I just don't know how to run a business by myself and do all the little shit that I hate, like expenses and taxes, and that is not my lane. I'm terrible at it. I'm avoiding it. My problems are getting bigger and worse in that area, when all I want to do is use my gift. And I'm really good at negotiating. I'm really good at helping sellers. I'm really good at creative solutions. I'm really resourceful and creative. And I don't know how to feel so alone and also succeed and get everything done. And I feel embarrassed that I don't know how to do everything. So
Can I just say how
Anybody
many people
else ever felt that way, by the way?
exactly. How many people have felt like that?
I think you just read everybody's mind in here.
By the way, I could speak. I mean, there's still times that I still, when like, what, as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh my gosh, it feels so alone. And I'll please add value to this too, but I will say that at the beginning of things, you are doing all things.
Yeah.
You are doing the taxes and the billing and the invoicing and the marketing. I mean, there was times I would sit there and I'm like, marketing idea. I'm like, what do you think of that? No one's in the room. I had to make myself laugh. And then I have this huggable bear. It's not, no joke. It sits at my dining room table. It's a huge teddy bear for hugs. It's for another story. Literally, that still sits at my table. I'm like, what do you think, buddy? Where should we go with this? It's going to be hard in the beginning. It for sure is. And you do have to wear a lot of hats. It's going to actually help you because you're going to know how multiple parts of the business go, so it will serve you for sure. And then as soon as you feel you could get a little bit coming in that you could bring someone on to start helping for where it's your biggest pain point that you could start putting money allotted to, slowly, because and please answer this how it worked for you, but for me, I started, once I could add it was admin support. That I needed that as soon as possible. I started to get a little bit of oxygen, and I had to, it's hard when you have to make that, like, I've got to put out when I know where the cash flow is, but it literally helped me like rocket fuel. So I had to put that expense out and where my serious weakness was so that I could start moving a little bit further, and it worked. So
Okay.
you do have to wear all hats at the beginning, and oftentimes, I mean, look about when companies go and then something falls and you got to fill in a spot. You now know how to fill into that. So it's going to serve you, and it feels lonely. So being in a community like this, I hope you know we all feel this with you. There's days I still want to cry. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? But if your why is there too, and you're doing this because you really feel called to do this, stay in this and don't give up the fight, because everyone feels it, and it's going to come in waves. This is one sector. You move up levels, there's another sector. Then it gets bigger, and you're like, how are we covering payroll? How are we doing all this? So for every level you go requires a new mindset, by the way. You have to keep evolving with it and knowing that you could always win. You have a 100% bounce back rate. But please add more value to that for her.
I love that answer, first and foremost. It's great. For me personally, it was the same thing. It was getting permission from people around me that it was okay to be in the suck. I think when we come from, let's say I was packing donuts or I was bagging groceries, the only part of that company I saw was my little microcosm of that company. And so I just saw the A to B to C part of the transaction. I didn't see all the other things. And so when I stepped into the owner of the business, I assumed everything was going wrong. And I was doing everything wrong until somebody came along. At the time I was paying a coach $500 an hour, which I thought was a lot at the time. That's cheap. That's cheap. And he said, let me show you my business. Spend a day with me. Let me show you the inside of my business. I'm like, oh, so this is like literally everybody. He goes, yes. And so being part of the community, you'll understand that what you're dealing with is what everybody has to deal with. You become resilient, all of those types of things. When I first started branching out on my own, I called it hugging toilets. Why did I call it hugging toilets? I'll tell you why. Because I couldn't afford, at the time I was a general contractor, and I went from being the handyman and doing all the work myself, and I was staying out late 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And I was like, I need to start delegating and hiring subcontractors. And I couldn't afford, I was bidding with homeowners what I would charge, but then when I went out to subcontractors, now there's no margin. And so I already had bids on things that I couldn't make money on, but I needed to start delegating. And there was a period of time where I made no money, but I needed to go through and build this thing. So what did I do? I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would go prep the house. I would mask the baseboards. I'd cover the carpet, move the furniture. I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning at these projects before the painter showed up at 7, so I could save money on the prep work. And one of the parts of the prep work I had to do is I had to get on my hands and knees, literally, like this, and get behind the toilet to mask behind the toilet, and I'm looking down at where people shit. And that was my life for months and months and months. And it was a period where I go, I'm doing this all wrong. Somebody else has a smarter solution than me. And then 4 months later, people were asking me, how did you do what you did? I was like, I had my face where people shit. And it truly is just, that is the answer. And when you understand just doing the hard thing really gets you through that. And there is moments of my life that are imbalanced, but it's also how I accomplish things, and it's tough. Another thing that really helped me put this into perspective is I started reading stats. Just like when I went skydiving for the first time, I'm like, I have to read all the stats. Like how many people are dying, and what does this look like? Who went skydiving with me? Okay, so what was interesting, boys, what was that, a couple years ago? Okay, so I read all the stats. What was super helpful for me is not these young dudes that were hanging out with me, like my peers. It was freaking Effie. Effie. In my head, I was like, if Effie can do it, 100%, bro. So we're skydiving in Tampa area. It was between Tampa and Orlando. And I'm about to quit. I literally have all my shit on. I'm all harnessed up. I'd gone through the thing, signed the waiver, paid the money, did the thing. And I'm like, how can I fake sick right now? And then this little old lady comes flying out of the plane, and we're all standing there on the ground, and she just gave us no excuses. And so I jumped in the plane, and I did the thing. Anyway, it is going to be hard, and it's meant to be hard. It is the filter. It is the filter. God puts this amazing filter. So last thing I'll say about this, and maybe this will help other people, but I'm in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, about 4 or 5 years ago with my wife and my kids, and we're just kind of tootling around, and we run into the post office. And it's this super historic post office. And it has all these things about how did the post office get started. And it's about this man that left England, and he told his wife and his 2 kids, his 2 daughters, who were really young at the time, I'm going to go create a better life for us. So he leaves. And along the way, he goes and takes jobs. He has no idea what he's going to do. He's bouncing around, bouncing around, bouncing around. He gets robbed in Mississippi, runs into this situation, and then finally somebody that he was in jail with, he ended up getting put in jail, says, you should go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. There's opportunity there. It's this cool little town. So he goes there. He's there for a couple of months, gets the opportunity to start the post office box. Somebody he met along the journey gave him this opportunity, which is like the gift and the arena. He had gone through all these arenas, but he kept his gift the same. Creating friendships and relationships very similar to you, your ability to negotiate and your ability to talk to sellers and care about them, right? Your gift. So he starts the post office box, or post office. This is now 3 years into his journey. He hasn't seen his wife, hasn't seen his kids. He saves up enough money to send money home. The money gets robbed out of the mail. This is now another year and a half, and he goes, all right, I guess I have to go back home to go grab them and bring them with me, because obviously technology did not exist. This ends up being a 7-year saga for him to get his kids and his wife back to the post office, and he dies 3 days later. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then his daughter at the end has this letter she hand wrote, and she said, my dad was the greatest man on the planet. And I think a lot of times as us, as parents, grandparents, whatever we are, we go, well, I need to spend all the time with the family. I need to spend all the time with the family. People like me, I'm obsessed creating a legacy for my family, and sometimes that requires me to sacrifice some of the time with them in order to build something that doesn't exist. And she writes this letter, and she's talking about, like, my dad's the best dad on the planet, this, that, and the other. And so I put it into perspective of how much time, how much technology we have, how much easier our lives are today, how much time we spend versus 1950 to today. We spend 700% more time with our children and our loved ones than people in 1950 did. We are spoiled. And so I have to put myself into perspective there and go, okay, last thing I'll say, because this is a great question I've struggled with multiple times. I start reading the book, what is it, an autobiography or biography where it's written about the other person?
That's biography.
Okay.
Auto is when you do it yourself.
Okay, so a biography of Sam Adams. I buy the book in the airport. #1 best-selling book. People are lining up to get it. It just came out that day. I grab the book, buy the thing. You know, I paid $25 for the thing. I sit down, waiting for my flight. I read the first paragraph. I take the book back, and I hand it to the next person in line. I go, don't buy the book. Here it is. Why did I only read one paragraph? Because it's all I needed. What it said in the book was, Sam Adams, by the age of 40, had reinvented himself, and from age 40 to 60, accomplished more than what most people would ever do in their entire lives without a cell phone, without a car, without the internet, without the this, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, I'm a bitch. And I just put it in perspective, just saying how blessed I am and how I've already won at life and how you've already won. And so those are the things I remind myself of. And just being around winners also and giving each other permission, like, go through the suck. It's going to suck. Like car washes. Right now, my team, we're starting on car washes, something brand new. Right? We just got our first land car wash under contract, which is awesome. But guess what my team felt the whole time? Resistance, resistance, resistance. And I wish I had hung out with you earlier, because I would have said, guys, same gift, different arena. You have an amazing gift. You're just fighting through the arena. Just keep doing what you're doing and hang out with all of us. Text me, voice memo people in the group, and just stay connected. You're doing the right thing.
I'm going to spend some time with you and zero down. So I'm
Yes.
excited.
Excited about that.
Yes.
Awesome. Sorry, that was a long answer. I'm sorry.
That was so good. That was so good.
Hi,
Need some audio.
it's Mario from Florida. Coach Dar, amazing content so far. I appreciate it. To all of you. My question is, I guess, related to what you guys were talking about, what Jamil was saying about patterns and in life. Like all of us have patterns, right? There are good and there are bad. And pretty much they create outcomes, right? Would you say? Each patterns we have now. How do you overcome the thing? And I guess it can be connected to your last example. When you have patterns you're doing good, then you come across something that you're not doing good for a week or two, and you lose focus, and you're like, forget it, it's not working, I was doing so good. And then you get deviated, and you start doing something else because you don't think the first thing worked. So how would you say, what's the biggest thing, how would you overcome that? And I guess if I may ask, it goes to the connection with your player that wanting to be a leader, right? I don't know if you can make a leader. They either made or they're not, right? So what advice did you give him? Like, hey, he paid you, and be like, okay, what, like, I don't know if you can give like a little shortcut. You analyze his personality or said, okay, this is what he does or this is what he didn't. So that's my question.
Let's go to your patterns question.
Okay.
So so if I'm hearing this right, you're doing something and then you're not getting the result that you want. This is probably like flood warning coming. Crazy rain today.
Yes.
It's making us more resilient. But what I'll say is if you're doing something, everyone should do this, where when you're going through your week, you should do a reflection. So the reason the pros are the pros is because they watch film. They're constantly watching film, and they have to course correct in real time. Like literally the moment the play happens and they come back, someone's in their ear on them, and they can't get pissy. They have to literally collect it, reframe it, and get back on and do it. We need to be doing that as entrepreneurs every week. We don't have necessarily a team, but your game film could be your week review. So your week review should be, hey, what were the patterns that were working for me this week and what's not working for me, and adjust in real time. Because that's where you're going to make the quickest change with your patterns. But you have to have acknowledgement of it, and you have to have real game film, which is your own life. Journal it, look at it, write it in your notes, talk to someone, get a coach, and just say, this is my wins. Hey, I have people score by numbers. So where's your communication this week? Where's your effort this week? What was your attitude this week? What was your mindset like? 0 to 10. And if I keep getting 4s in an area, then I have them self-reflect and say, why are we getting 4s for the next 4 weeks? Like, what are we going to do to change it? I'll help them. But without that data and that reflection, Monday becomes Tuesday, Tuesday becomes Wednesday, and 25 becomes 26, and then also we're in 2027, and we didn't make any changes. And then we hit a wall, and we could have prevented it. And then for your kid, okay, that's a loaded question. I would have to know more about your kid. But I will say this. People often say, like, leaders are leaders. This is my theory from working with people. You can absolutely help people become great leaders. Don't fall into, yes, some people have some natural tendencies to be more vocal, and then they just assume the vocal one's the leader, when the quiet one, the integrator one, could be a great leader. So you could be a leader no matter where your gifts and talents are, and don't let the world think that you have to be the most loudest, boisterous, like commanding person to be a leader. There are beautiful quiet leaders, and it's quiet strength. And leadership changes based on the environment. And sometimes you have to call people up and you need to bring the energy. And sometimes you need to be the calm in the storm and stay emotionally neutral. So everyone has the chance to be a great leader, no matter where you are or your role.
Thank you. It was not the kid, but it was the player example you gave.
Oh.
It was not my kid, but
about
the
the
example
player.
with the CEO, they called you and said, hey, make him a leader.
Great. Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
What I did was I said to him, this is someone that does not want to be the captain. I knew by the assessment in him, I did this flow assessment, he is a leader in how he shows up on the court, but he doesn't want to be vocal. And this owner wanted him to be vocal. He saw him being a leader as being vocal. And I said, you're literally going to judge a fish on how it climbs a tree, and you're going to pull down his performance. Don't ask him to be the most vocal player. Push him this way and bring a co-pilot along a way for him, because the co-pilot helps him have confidence, because the way this player's makeup is he didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings by calling them out in a certain way, and he was being pushed to keep calling people out, and that's not his MO. He calls people up. He doesn't call them out, and he does it silently and quietly. So the owner wanted him to be like him, which is not this person's makeup. So once I helped them shift who this player really is, then everything started to work out. And the player never smiled. And when this player got into flow, I said, we better call Colgate or Crest, because you need a toothpaste commercial, because your smile is so beautiful. And he just was so happy because now he was able to be in his flow on the court and in who he is.
Okay, I appreciate it. Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, I just really appreciate all that you've said. Like, I guess I need some help. So when I was 40, like literally on my 40th birthday, I lost my company. I had to lay off 40 employees. I lost all my money. I lost all my savings. I had to leave my home, the country I was living in. I had just had emergency back surgery. But that was 10 years ago, and I've tried to start another company since then, and it was going really great. In the beginning, I was attracting these amazing team members, and then again, it failed, So I know I have this chip on my shoulder, and I know it's holding me back, but I just don't know how to get rid of it,
This is where I really think you dig into. If we were working together, I'd start by saying, okay, I want to know again the patterns. I want to know what worked, what didn't. What do you identify as what worked, what didn't? I would want to know what your giftedness is. Like, where are the things you're just naturally talented in that I could start calling up on you, and you could remember, by the way, because some things make you doubt, and then you can make decisions based on emotions. So I need to get you back into confidence. So I'd be making those text messages right now when you leave. Hey, if you had to describe me, what would you say? What are my natural gifts and talents too? Start pulling the patterns together for that. And then whatever you're in right now, are you working on something currently right now that you're trying to build?
Yeah, I mean, I've been investing in real estate, and I'm trying to scale that company a little bit. Oh, God, I'm getting emotional, sorry, but there's a lot of fear.
Of course. Yes.
Sorry.
No, and so feel this emotion, and remember, I don't need you to live in the rearview mirror, okay? That's reflection points. That's where we can gather information. It's fact building. So you're going to look at driving forward based on the vision. I want the vision for what's ahead aligned in your confidence to draw you forward rather than living you in the pain and the fear of the past. So we just need to make this vision clearer for you so you can keep going forward. You have it to make it. It's within you. We just need to make sure that you remember it and you have a clear, confidence, clarity, and make the runway count. That's what I help people all the time. So we need to get your confidence back, work with people here, get clarity of how this works, right? Gain some clarity from people, and then don't lose the joy of trying to build your dream because it's in front of you and you're meant for it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
One of the most common questions I get is, what title company do I use? What title company am I using in Arizona, Atlanta, California, Texas, whatever? The answer for many years was a different title company in every state, because not every state handles transactions the same way. Now, the answer is one title company. It's Creative Title and Escrow. Go to getcreativetitle.com/podcast. You can learn how they will do SubTo deals, seller finance deals, cash transactions, gator deals, double close, transactional lending, whatever, even novation agreements. There's really nothing that Creative Title and Escrow can't do. To learn how brand new investors are using Creative Title all the way up to the biggest players in the industry, head over to getcreativetitle.com/podcast.